Movie Wars.
Ladies and gentlemen, we're wrapping up our Crow franchise. Thank God.
It's been a struggle, but we're finally making it.
It's so funny because the whole reason I did this is because of the reboot, remake, whatever they're calling it. They don't want to call it that, but they use the name Eric Draven, so we're going to call it a reboot.
Unfortunately.
Yeah. And for me, it was an excuse to get back into one of my favorite films of all time, 1994's The Crow. It's top 50 for me. It's, when I was a kid, I was, a good barometer for what movies you loved when you were a kid is, were you that person for Halloween?
Yeah.
I was Terminator. I was The Crow,
That's that's a good way to look at it.
Yeah, I remember. And a lot of people, in fact, after doing the movie, some of our fans have messaged me saying, I was also Eric Draven for Halloween,
Nice.
And a lot of us
I've had a few people say that, actually, my comments, too.
I was not allowed to do Halloween. We did trunks of treats at church.
Oh, there you go. Yeah.
Dressed up as Bible characters.
I have facilitated so many trunk or treats. Now when I see trunk or treats happening at nearby churches, I'm like, I'm so glad love it for them. Also so glad I never have to actually work one again.
Notice, y'all, we're talking about anything other than this movie because we're just trying to avoid it.
No, this is actually true to form for the movie. We're going to take an hour and a half into this podcast before we actually talk about The Crow.
Yeah.
Just like The Crow.
Yeah.
Is it called The Crow Reboot? Is it just called The Crow?
Yeah.
Whatever we want to call this movie. I seriously, 10 minutes in was like, am I watching the right movie?
Yeah.
This should have been called John Wick Resurrection.
Yeah, we have like 40 minutes before any Crow activity.
Literally.
happens here.
Literally.
I think they shouldn't have called. Whoever. I think I probably agree with people that say it's not a reboot. Even if they're calling it a reboot, they should have given it another name. We had Salvation, we had City of Angels, we had Wicked Prayer. This one could have been like Soul Calibur or something like Soulmates. Or I feel like
The
Soul
Crow
has-
Rehab.
Yeah, I agree partially. The part I disagree on is yes, I agree, but all the studio had to do was do anything but use the name Eric and Shelley.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
And they would
there are
have
a lot of
saved-
other names out there.
Yeah.
They would have saved a lot of pain because the most commentary I've gotten, and I agree with this, the reason fans, they're not mad explicitly because of a Crow remake. They're mad because they use the names.
Yeah.
And although the other ones are horrible, at least they tried different stories, different names. Well,
they were
slightly.
different.
This was still different. This had nothing to do with the original Crow.
Yeah. All they had to do was not use those names. But they chose to, and so I think they deserve every piece of negative feedback because literally they didn't have to do that.
Yeah.
If this had literally just been The Crow 5, I think I would have favored it significantly more than I did.
Yeah, and I'll start off as I'm going to have to eat a little bit of crow right now.
Nice.
I am not, our Movie Wars fans know I'm not a reaction guy. I'm not a movie review guy. That's why we have this format, because it lets us have intelligent discussion about movie without saying, I give it a 10. It's a new format. But the only time that I've literally marched into my studio and turned on my microphone and did a reaction podcast was when I saw the announcement for this. I knew for years it was going to happen because since 2009, they'd been kicking it around in different formats, and I have a rando for that. But I knew eventually it would happen. But when I saw the trailer, I was incensed. I could just tell from the trailer, it looked very plasticky.
Yep.
And I love Bill Skarsgard. You and I have talked about that. I admire him as an actor. I think he's actually really talented. And but I just, the look of the trailer just gave me really, really bad. And I didn't react. I'm a diehard Mad Max fan. I didn't react this way to Fury Road. Fury Road, kind of the trailer, I was like, that kind of looks true to form.
Yeah. Like I've said before, I'm pretty sure the last 15 minutes of Thunderdome set the stage for the entirety of what became Fury Road. So, no, soft reboot, new guy as the character, sure, but it ended up being a 10 out of 10 in my book.
Yeah.
This, very different.
Yeah. And I will say the reason I'm going to eat a little bit of crow is I'm not saying this is a great or good movie. What I am saying, it did exceed my expectations.
I will agree with that.
Yeah.
I see it being somewhat split on the votes here because I do think there are positive things to pull out of this movie.
Yeah. And I didn't expect to like things about it, and I think back to my reaction podcast, and this is why I don't do reaction podcasts, because now I'm like thinking, oh yeah, that's why I don't do reaction podcasts, because I usually will eat crow.
You need to now do a reaction to your reaction podcast.
Like just sit there and hit record.
Turn it on right now.
Hit record of me listening to myself go on a rant.
And be like, nope, he was wrong.
It was a 30,
Here's why that guy's so wrong. It's just yourself.
It's crazy because it was a 30-minute dialogue or a 30-minute monologue, and I had actually written an essay about The Crow that I planned to do when I was in between this 2.0 and 1.0. I was going to just do movie
1.
essays.
5.
Yeah, I was 1. And I was literally, and I already had this like monologue written up just about my thoughts about why I love The Crow. And I pulled some of that in, but it was just listening back. It's like, God, you were angry. It's like there are starving children. That was your war. Yeah, that was your battle.
You're like, yeah, but forget the starving children. Let's talk about The Crow. Yes. I get that.
So
it was an okay movie. Like it like I went with all of these movies. I hadn't seen them. I hadn't really heard much about them until I mentioned on social media that I was doing this and I was watching them. And before each movie, I always talk about, like, or I'll give people the the opportunity to like share their thoughts on whatever movie I'm about to watch. And so that's how I knew. Like this one and Wicked Prayer were gonna be bad because like everyone.
But and so then you saw City of Angels.
I also to me more people should have been pissed about that one than any of the other ones. Yeah. But that's okay. So I would say I went into this one kind of afraid that it was going to be really bad because that's what everyone said, and like most of it was boring to me. But the last maybe 45 minutes, I actually thought it would redeem the movie. I think I texted you guys. It's like, okay, I think I like this movie, but it was like an hour and 15 minutes into it.
Yeah. I can't go as far as saying that the last bit of it redeemed the movie, but it definitely made it not shit.
Yeah. For me, it's real easy whether I think a movie's, and it's all personal opinion, but what I think a movie's good if I enjoyed watching it.
Yeah.
If it was, because I like stories, I like escapes from real life. So if I don't have to feel feelings or think about life and just watch something, that's a good time. And so, but in the first half of this movie, I was like, for example, did they ever reference why he went to the insane asylum and like, what at the beginning?
It's a rehab facility.
The rehab. So what was
my first question was, is this a prison or is it rehab? And then I was like, are there even co-ed prisons? But apparently there are. There's 35.
What did he do to warrant getting there? Also, what happened to that poor horse at the beginning? Also,
that
like,
was pretty obvious.
How easy was it for them to escape? I mean, don't get me wrong. I just binge watched Prison Break, so watching people escape out of prisons, I feel like I'm kind of an expert on it now. And they got out of there so quickly.
Yeah.
Well, honestly, knowing that it is a rehab facility and not an actual prison, that made a little more sense.
Because they have a lot of freedom in there.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's this film didn't do a great job of doing that, and I actually myself was like kind of like why are they all wearing pink sweats?
Right, that's also an odd clothing choice.
Yeah, and the fact that it's a rehab and it looks like a very like it does, but it looks like a prison.
It does.
And it doesn't look like an area where they're nurturing
Definitely
sobriety.
not a nice rehab facility. Definitely not a.
That's where I'm like maybe
government funded rehab.
Yeah, well, that's where I'm like maybe everyone there did commit some sort of crime, but it was related to drugs. And
well,
so
the
they
girl
were given
killed
an option, either prison or go to rehab.
His woman killed a bunch of killed people. That's probably what got her there, right?
No, what got her there was the cocaine that they found in her purse.
That'll do it.
The police had no idea that she was a part of whatever had just happened over there. Literally, she dropped her purse, cocaine fell out, and that's why she got sent to whatever the rehab thing was.
That's a good reason to go to rehab.
Yeah.
If you have a lot of cocaine in your purse right now, just a friendly suggestion. Maybe
Don't drop it.
I think my biggest problem with this movie, especially compared, because and again, like you said, if they hadn't said it was a reboot, I could look at it individually and make different assumptions. But because they labeled this a reboot, because this is supposed to sort of relate to the original story, my biggest problem is what made it so not unique was that the entire movie was backstory. The entire movie held your hand and said, this is what's going on before we even get to the inciting incident, which should happen formulaically within the first 20 minutes of the movie. Like, you should know why shit's going down, or at least see what's going down within 20 minutes. This was 45 minutes before anything happened that would be The Crow. But with the original movie, it started with the action. The inciting incident literally happened before the cameras technically turned on.
Yep.
And so we spent that whole movie learning about the backstory as it was going, but it still started you in the action. This just felt like another generic action movie.
It was weird because a little bit into the movie, he did actually die and go to the afterlife. And I was like, oh, this is where he's going to grow up.
Yeah.
And then we had like about another hour into the movie, and then he re-dies.
Yeah.
And then he grows up. I'm like, this seems like...
Yeah. There's a lot of filler.
Yeah.
There's a lot of filler.
Which they could have made that underworld situation so much cooler.
Yeah. I looked that side of the underworld. I'm like, oh, this doesn't seem like a bad place. I could see myself in a little townhome.
Yeah,
it's like a bridge.
It's like The Last of Us without zombies.
Yeah,
I could live there.
There seemed to be some nice greenery in there.
Yeah.
I mean, the black pool with the skeleton. I mean, maybe put a fence around that. But other than that,
fence that off. Yeah. Don't walk into the time warp. Hole.
I think it was interesting because this is what we said in the first movie, how we really appreciate. You could tell it had that like 90s movie feel where it didn't over explain it. You didn't know the plot and you were experiencing it as you were watching the movie.
Yeah. And every question that was asked got answered.
Yeah, you would be wondering things and then they'd eventually cover it. Yeah. And in this movie, I mean, we got that 2024 modern day how movies are made now. So on one hand, it looks so. I mean, it looks so much like fresher and cleaner. But on the other hand, it's like, you're like, oh, maybe we don't make as good of movies anymore. like I don't know.
I mean, or we just try to reboot things that don't need to be rebooted.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I agree. I agree really hard with something.
Yeah. Took me a bit. I was processing. I was like, "Yep, I agree."
Yeah,
yeah, I agree. Really, I had this exact thought, and I said it in a different way, but something you said really resonated. Like somehow in 1994, they illustrated more of a relationship that we love and admire with flashbacks and just imagery and very little dialogue. A lot of those flashbacks don't even have words. It's just them interacting, and the coloring's really great. They somehow illustrated more of a relationship that I care about with that situation and throwing us right into the story than 40 minutes of backstory.
Yeah.
And my problem...
And then the flashbacks had nothing to do with the backstory. They were all things that we didn't see in that friggin'... And it's like supposed to be days. It's not supposed to be like years that they were out of rehab.
And making the iPhone video the crux of the whole thing, that's where I complain about this a lot, but technology in films, ruining films. Yeah. Making an iPhone video the crux of this whole thing, really pissed me off. Yeah. Really pissed me off. But then something you said, like, they're trying to do a lot of things here. The White Horse it is an excerpt from one of the comics. I don't know which one. I haven't read all of them. But I just did come up in my research. What they were trying to do was say Eric has a rough childhood, and this is why he does drugs, and this is why he's in rehab.
Yeah.
But they don't make it clear.
Okay, yeah. I was like, I didn't get that from the...
Yes. And maybe they could have reduced, if they really wanted to get that point across, they could have spent 40 minutes, maybe reduce that 40 minutes down to 30 and give us 10 minutes of experiences or dialogue or something that points back to that.
We could have seen a rough iPhone video of something bad in it.
Of a horse. This is me saving the horse and then going and buying crack.
But the one thing this movie, this is what one of my friends was talking about with me, and I kind of see it, is it's easy for us to watch this movie and not appreciate some of it because it wasn't meant for us. This is definitely trying to do like, let's make a Crow movie for Gen Z.
Yeah.
Like that 100%. Yeah, this is like, we're not their target demographic, whereas the past several people our age would have been.
I disagree with that, though. Like, if you're going to make The Crow and you're going to reboot it, you're not going to make a sequel. You're not going to further the franchise. You're ultimately trying to bring back the people who were interested in the first one.
Yeah. I will say, though, he's actually right. Not to correct you, but in the Rupert Sanders in the special feature says we purposely made this to tell a new story to Zoomers.
Yep.
That's actually what his intent was.
Then why reboot it?
Yeah, just tell a new one. Or just don't use the
Crow
names.
5, yeah.
You already gave them the mullet and the face tattoos. That's all the Zoomers need. They don't need anything else.
Right.
They don't need...
Did anyone else, when they did close-up of his face, like take note of all the different tattoos and try to point, what is it about this person that needs this kind of tattoo? Because maybe you have a rando about it, but I'm pretty sure none of those tattoos have anything to do with this guy.
Granted, he was friends with a tattoo artist, so that kind of does make sense. You would just have random shit on you because the guy's like, I got 10 minutes.
There's always a tattoo artist in these movies.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. That's their. You're so right.
Yeah.
I wish that was a bigger thing in these movies. Like
I have major quips with the tattoo artist, by the way.
But real quick, to your point about how this was supposed to be a Gen Z remake, if that's the case, then fuck you, because you're literally shitting on the people who made this what it is. You're shitting on the people who were fans of it. And there's a difference between we would like to expand the audience and we're going to say fuck you to the old audience so we can get a new one.
Yeah.
I just
totally agree.
If that's the case, then I'm sorry, you did an even worse job than you thought you did.
Maybe there's a way to go into movies where doing exactly what you say. Like you want to make a movie that reaches this audience, but you also want to make the kind of movie that would reach any audience that is into this kind of movie.
I mean, great example again is Mad Max Fury Road. Like same director, so obviously there is some consistency there, but while he did make a fully updated version of that story, instead of saying we're going to now tread on the grave. Let's say Mel Gibson had died. Instead of saying we're just going to shit on the grave of Mel Gibson by recreating this iconic story, they just said, no, we're going to move on and we're going to keep the character alive, but we're going to tell it in a slightly different way. We're going to make sure everyone who was into the old ones are still into this, but we're also going to tell it in a way that is going to be more exciting for modern audiences. This, I don't think, did that.
I had two problems that were like minor, but to me were like, okay, come on, crow people.
Come on, birds.
First of all, what I've said over the past few movies is like I love that once they become the Crow or like Crow-ish, because I do feel like he had some Crow adjacent time where he was dead but not Crow yet.
Yeah.
Like you see this manic personality, which I attribute like that's the Crow's personality that comes into this person, and they get more Crow tendencies. Like in the past two movies, there were scenes where both the guys like jumped up on the car as if they were like a crow perching. Like they're more sarcastic. They're more like, but like over the many years that these movies have come out, you've seen that, and that's been like a characterization of the Crow. This guy never got that. He was just like emo and sad the entire time, which I get it. His girlfriend died and he's bummed out and he's just got to save her soul. We've all been there. But if you got the spirit of the Crow in you, man, act like it. You know, crow up.
Crow up. Get your crow on.
So, and then speaking of the Crow, this is the first movie where one of the plot points isn't like he's kicking all his ass and then someone hurts the Crow and it hurts him.
They just forgot that.
The Crow really just has it's just almost like a subtle thing to the movie. And I feel like, you know, talking about
more symbolic than an actual character.
Talking about what you were talking about in the very first episode that we did, talking about Crow 1, is like the big part about this universe is they live in a world where like it's the spirit of the Crow inhabits you to help you exact revenge against, you know. So like that the Crow should have a bigger part in a movie called The Crow.
Yeah.
Absolutely. 100%.
Yeah.
Like I said, it's more of a symbolic situation than an actual character. And I agree with you. I didn't like that.
But I did like the villain in this one. I did like the connection that like his, you saw the Crow's motivation in trying to save the soul of his woman or trade places. That was a different touch.
Yeah.
And then you also saw this villain's motivation in that like he saw this guy with this power not to die, and that's his big thing. He just doesn't want to die. And so he's wanting that. Like, it makes sense that their paths crossed. But
again, if this had been a sequel and not a reboot, I think all of these would be positive.
100%. This had nothing to do with the first movie. Like, they should have called it The Crow Kia Soul. And then just not,
Yeah.
Something you said earlier was really funny. I was trying to imagine a Gen Z version of Fury Road where they're driving Nissan Leaves around, and like, cause like they're all mad because they can't find a charging station.
Yeah.
Yep.
All the bad guys are driving Teslas.
Yeah. Like I was like, how would they have
nothing but a fleet of Cybertrucks?
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, and they're just like talking shit about each other on like
There's
Snapchat.
no dialogue. It's all Snapchat.
TikTok videos.
Those are really great points, and a lot of people had a problem with that, and and also you were talking about Danny Houston's character, which Danny Houston's a fantastic actor.
Yeah.
About the problem with that character, it's like did Satan just make this deal with you and you don't ever talk to Satan anymore? Is like, you don't.
Yeah.
What happened was he had sex with Tara Reid.
Yes. He's the product of that.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah, he's the product of that interaction.
Yeah.
Maybe
Oh
he
my
did
God.
finish.
Yeah. Yeah.
But it's like, did Satan really make this deal with you? And you just haven't seen Satan in 300 years since you made this deal. It's like
Yeah.
he never comes back to
Yeah.
like tell you about your progress. Like,
Like, what are you doing? Like, are you just
Yeah.
living? Like,
you
are
couldn't
just
ask him for a
existing?
little reinforcements here. With,
I guess the thing is when he kills people, he's sending them to, like, I guess not straight to hell, which would make sense because that's where Satan is. He's sending them to some kind of internal torment, because that was the whole thing. Like, she wasn't going to heaven or hell. She was just suffering.
Yeah.
In limbo, yeah.
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 Good old purgatory. Thanks, Catholics.
Yeah. No, and I totally agree. It is hilarious because there is this, like, the end almost feels like John Wick with a sword.
Yeah.
It
Yes.
really does.
Exactly.
And
Which
I
he
loved
uses
it.
a sword.
Yeah.
I loved it. That
Yeah.
was when I officially started liking the movie. When he came back with a sword, started killing people.
See, honestly, that's where it lost me.
I literally
Really?
was like,
Yeah.
How come?
I was like, okay, I'll keep watching. Like, I was gonna keep watching anyway, but that was when I was like, this is something.
Yeah. How did it lose
So
you?
it lost me because the action was so mid. It was not great. It wasn't bad. It definitely was no Crow 4. It was no Wicked Prayer. But now that I am now that I have seen 4 John Wick movies, and I have seen other movies even try to get somewhat close to that and do a really good job, watching the most generic fight scene where he is still like, the amount of blood he was losing shouldn't have happened because all the other Crow movies doesn't ever drip blood. Like, he has no blood anymore. That was just weird. They were trying to make it extra gory for no reason.
Does he have no blood? I feel like in previous movies he's gotten pretty.
From what I remember,
banged up.
after he's become the Crow, he doesn't really ever bleed. Like, especially in the first one. If we're even just, because this is a reboot, if we're going to compare this to the first one, he doesn't really ever bleed after he dies.
Just a little bit. Like, it's usually like a wound, but it closes up really fast.
But it's never like dripping blood like he was in
Spleen
this
falling
movie.
out.
Yeah, exactly. So there was that. It looked like dollar store version of John Wick. But even then, okay, this was probably my biggest peeve with the entirety of watching the action in this movie, is it felt like the stunt actors had a week of training. Because all of them were doing the very over obvious, I'm going to show you, I'm about to hit you, and then boom. Well, then you watch something of high quality like John Wick, and everyone's been rehearsing together for so long.
For months.
That it's such a dance that you don't have to over-exaggerate your set to show them you're about to hit. They know exactly what's going on. Everything throughout this movie was so overly acted because it felt like no one was prepared for the action scenes.
Yeah.
I mean, sticking with the Keanu theme, I mean, for the Morpheus Neo fight in the first one, that was 3 months of choreography and rehearsal just to do that one scene.
And this felt like the entire movie was just, everyone was like, it felt like the union was there every time they filmed a scene, and everyone felt too nervous to actually go for it.
I feel like this is a call to the congregation just to take a moment and really admire Keanu Reeves.
Yeah, seriously.
I mean, the fact that he does all the stunts and does all the choreography, John Wick, and all the work, like they tried to do that here.
Yeah.
And I agree. Like, it was my favorite part of the movie. That doesn't mean it's good. I'm just saying in a shitty movie, that was the highlight.
Exactly.
But man, can we just take a moment and say, holy shit, Keanu Reeves, like that dude.
He's ruined action for most other people.
Right.
He set the bar so high.
In his 50s.
Yeah, and it's kind of the same thing with like fantasy movies and Lord of the Rings. When you watch Lord of the Rings, the big battle scenes, if you see a single person that's physical actually on camera, they're all doing an actual bit of choreography versus most other movies like that. You're literally watching guys with swords just go, because they're in the background. They're not what's being focused on. But Peter Jackson and his stunt coordinators wanted to make sure that everyone looked like they were actually doing something. And this just doesn't look that way. It looks like everyone's waiting for their cue, and then they run in, and it's,
Yeah. I feel like this movie, like, I feel like a strength of this movie, which I didn't care about, was like the acting and dialogue between like the main 2 characters and stuff like that. Like, there was a lot of like, but like, so in contrast to the one we just reviewed, where we were like, what were they? There was no script, there was no acting, there was no, like, it did feel like this was like an indie British film with good acting and a good storyline. But I was like, is this the Crow? Like, that was my one question. I was like, there's a storyline here, but like it has nothing to do with what I've come to realize for the Crow based off of the 3 other movies. Excuse me. 2 movies, City of Angels and Wicked Prayer.
Yeah.
One of the weird things that I think actually would have made the character a little more compelling is if Bill Skarsgård had not fully put on an American accent.
Right.
I feel like if he had stuck with his native accent, I feel like it would have added just a weird little bit of depth to the character.
Yeah.
Didn't feel as whitewashed.
I liked that he and her were kind of weirdos. Like, and I think that's part of the things that they want to use to speak to the Generation Z is like, hey, look at these weird guys. And
with
like,
face tattoos.
Yeah, it's like that. It was kind of fun, like they were just oddballs, and I liked watching. Like, because it felt like I watched, because I didn't know it was a rehab facility. In my head, it made a lot of sense that they escaped an insane asylum. I was like, they're a little off their rocker. Like, that's okay. Like,
you're right. In the first one, Draven was a rock star.
Yeah.
He was a good looking, like someone that you would want to be around.
Yeah.
I
also loved in the murder scene in the opera. For so long, nobody had any idea that all that killing was happening.
Like gunshots.
I was like, I feel like they're really into this song, or like
as kind of decent as it was. My problem is I've literally seen that done 4 other times.
Yeah.
So by the time I saw this, it just felt like literally there's a scene in the show Leverage where they do that. They blow up a safe underneath a symphony hall.
I wonder if the Fifth Element was the first one to do that with the alien lady singing opera while the action happened. Because you're right, that is a typical. As soon as I saw that, I was thinking like, this has been done before. But like, I was like, I'm here for it.
It's one of those things where it's one of the cooler parts of the movie, but it's the coolest part of a 6 out of 10 movie. Like, it doesn't make it good. Unfortunately, they just picked a trope that has been done so many times that I've seen done better with cheaper projects.
Like Wicked Prayer.
Like, yes. No, but like with Leverage, like literally it's a TV show. They're probably spending $500,000 an episode versus, however many millions of dollars are spent on this. And I feel like the way that cheaper show did it was more compelling than the way that they did it in this.
Yeah, $50 million for this.
Oh my God, this is the most expensive Crow movie that's been made.
And they did a lot of this with the tunnel, this new thing they invented, that tunnel that's not green screen, but it's like
okay, with the LED screen.
All the action is on those LEDs. And
I forget what it's called, but
it's crazy to me that this one was so much more expensive than the other ones because especially the first one so much.
But even
better.
then, $50 million's cheap for a movie of that size.
Yeah,
like that was supposed to look like $100 million movie.
Yeah. And it looked good. Like
it looked good.
I mean, like I feel like people. Whereas the last one, we were like nobody was doing their job correctly or at all.
No, this one, this was very professional.
Yeah, this one, I was like, they did well. They made. If someone's like, hey, do you want to watch the new Crow movie? And they put this on, and then at some point, about 30 minutes, I'm like, hey, when are we watching the new Crow movie? Is what I
If I hadn't seen the first one or any of the others, I might have enjoyed this one, but. Honestly, the first one is so good. For them to call this a remake just honestly kept pissing me off throughout the whole thing.
Can you imagine if someone only watched the last one and picked this up?
Well, I mean, that's what I did with Mad Max. I watched Fury Road first. I watched it 8 times in theaters, and then it came out again in the black and white version. So I watched it a 9th time in theaters before I ever saw any of the originals.
Yeah.
So, but again, that one holds up the rest of the series. This just shits on it, in my opinion.
This one honestly was like the Tokyo Drift of the Crow, because there was actually character development, there was a story.
Yeah.
It was good. It had nothing to do with like the rest of the overall franchise, but like you could watch it by yourself and be like, that's a movie.
Yeah.
Totally agree. So I had 2 questions, but you actually already answered one. My first question was going to be, if they wouldn't have called them Eric and Shelley, would it have added more love to it? Yeah, I totally would.
So much. I would have enjoyed seeing a new Crow story versus we're going to take the original but change it.
Yeah.
I'll be honest, I honestly didn't know their names. And so that was further. I was like, why did they call this a reboot? But knowing that they named them the same, I was like, oh, that's what they're trying to do.
Yeah. I didn't know her. I didn't ever hear her name, but I heard his name a bunch of times.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
And I think they neutered them too. Like being a rock star, I think they were giving you, because we were in an era where we loved our rock stars. You know, this is post grunge, 1994, or veering out of grunge into something else. So we had this admiration.
Still alive.
Yeah, we have this admiration for these rock stars. So we're thinking, this guy's awesome. They've totally turned these characters into like sad, like broken,
technically shitty people.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah.
I didn't like either of them at all. Like I wasn't I wasn't really rooting for them.
Yeah. I like them together, but I didn't like them as people.
I guess that's the thing. I was rooting for I felt bad for their relationship, and I felt bad that she was just like in internal suffering, and I was like, oh, cool move, you're gonna take her place or whatever. So I was there for the mission that he was doing, but like he as a character did nothing for me. And then even her, I was like, really, you'd escape rehab for this one?
Yeah.
But
yeah, the love story is very mailed in. For as much time as they spend developing it, I don't ever buy the love story.
Yeah.
I'm like, he feels the need to avenge her, but for me to agree with and buy this love story, the type of love they have, she has to cure something in him.
Yeah.
And we just never get that anecdote. What is it about this other broken person? What is it curing? Now, it's very common, and they talk about this in the behind the scenes features, that rehab and people that are in recovery, they often find salvific nature in their
but you never showed that.
Yeah.
You never showed them in
they
any
become addicted to each
together.
other.
Mm-hmm.
They I guess you did kind of see throughout their interaction how, knowing it's a rehab, how they did start kind of getting more addicted to each other. Before, for sure. You know what would have been interesting is, and I feel like I would have liked the movie better. We've said this a few times with other crows, but this one would have been now better than the other one timing, is if she became the crow.
Yeah.
Mm.
If he had died, if they both died, but then she came back, and then she's already got that backstory with the villain. So that would have added to it.
They would have had to cast a much better actress. She's serviceable here, but to pull that off, they would have.
This poor woman, from Shia LaBeouf to the Crow reboot, has just made some terrible decisions in her life.
Yeah.
We would need a Charlize Theron power.
Also, her
here.
character just came across as the type of girl who was with all the questions she was asking him, I just feel like the next one was going to be, would you love me if I was a worm?
But she was crazy. She would have made for a fun, crazy crow.
Could have.
Yeah. And this other guy just was giving us nothing. I felt like.
Yeah. My other question, did they talk show host voice on, and you and I actually, you texted me, it's so funny, you were right on the same page. Did they really make a side character with the tattoo artist? It's like a video game side quest for Eric. After he gets his first round of powers, he just walks to his apartment to ask him to have a gun.
Yeah.
You've got powers, man, but you had to march all the way to your tattoo artist apartment to ask him for a gun?
And let's also, this is what I texted you about. Dude just escapes a rehab facility. All right. Dude walks into your apartment. Dude says, you're thinking, oh my gosh, you're dead. Are you okay? Are you fine? What happened? Also, should we get you back to the rehab facility?
Yeah.
And then his first question is, I need a gun.
Yeah.
And then the guy questions it. He's like, ugh. And he's like, okay.
Yeah.
And we're just okay with this. I don't.
Yeah, you've got powers, dude.
Yeah.
You couldn't find a stick and do Yeoman's work with it?
Of course not.
This is like when you're playing a great video game and then they send you on the worst retrieval quest.
But but here's the question though, at that point, did he have crow powers? Because he dies again. And
I think he had crow immortality, but no strength powers.
But did he have even the immortality? Because he made a deal once he was in the nice shrubbery area with the creepy skeletons in the black water, because he was like, well, you wasted it.
I apologize for the light across the table, ladies and gentlemen. My cat is jumping into the window.
Harry.
So just ignore Harrison Ford over there.
I thought we were all about to be given crow powers or something like
the
that.
fourth co-host of Movie Wars.
To answer your question, my interpretation. Someone who knows, feel free to correct me in the comments. But here's what I gathered. In the meanest way possible,
please. With all the harsh language.
Here's what I gathered from watching this movie, is that first death gave him that immortality, and every time he went back to that middle world, it was only when he jumped into water or put himself underwater. I think the water was his bridge to whatever this underworld was. And then after that, by the third time he went in, is when the crow finally fully inhabited him.
Okay.
That is my interpretation of what I saw. Fair. Please feel free to correct me if you know differently. If you're just going to disagree with me, go fuck yourself.
Go to Reddit.
Yeah.
Honestly, like that could be it, but they just didn't do a good job of explaining what happened the first time he died.
Yeah.
Like it was awesome when he got back, when the face paint and he came out.
Yeah.
It was like, let's rock.
Yeah.
You knew as a Crow fan, you're like, oh man.
But the fact that it was an hour and 20 minutes into the movie, before he finally got the makeup,
they could have done that a little bit sooner. We could have seen less of them working out in a rehab center.
Yeah.
In pink onesies.
Yeah.
Pink sweats.
Randos.
By the way, if you love the show, we're wrapping up this Crow series. If you have a Zoomer in your life that loved his mullet in this movie, then send it to that person. Love y'all.
Also, if y'all have suggestions for other movies or series that we don't have on our list, please feel free to comment this. Honestly, I would love to see what you guys want to see.
Yep.
Also, if you just want to tell us your favorite bird, that would make for a decent species to inhabit you from afterward world experiences. We'd love to hear that.
Also, if someone could tell me who is FKA Twigs. I'm a diehard movie guy, and I still don't know who that is.
She's a rapper that then dated Shia LaBeouf and then dumped him because of shit, and then now is just a mediocre.
I'm sorry, FKA Twigs. I'm sorry.
Like I said,
you're
from
watching
dating
this
Shia
podcast-
LaBeouf to being in this movie, she's made some terrible life choices. Please make better choices.
But also, thanks for watching.
So I alluded to this earlier, Rando. This movie took a long time. So the very first time it was ever uttered that they were going to attempt this was 2009. And the previous owners of the IP who had bought it after it had come up for sale, they had approached James O'Barr, the original author, at a Comic-Con. And they asked him if he wanted to be involved. And they after several iterations, he's like, no, I don't want to be involved. I think it was Relativity Media. I think he was just done. I think he's just done. He still makes the comics, but I just think as far as the films go, I think he saw Wicked Prayer and said, I can't do this anymore.
That would do it.
But listen, 2009.
More than just us.
Yeah.
It's only 4 years after Wicked Prayer. And someone's like, do you want to do another one? And he's like, I mean, could I shoot myself and maybe be the
Yeah.
Crow?
Is Edward Furlong still alive? I don't know if we can still, I don't know. But listen, 2009 to 2024 is a long time. Listen to all these iterations. First iteration after James O'Barr dumped it. The first iteration was Bradley Cooper, and it was going to be directed by Juan Carlos Fresin. It's so hard to say. Fresendio, the director of 28 Weeks Later.
Oh.
That actually, I like his style.
Sure.
But Bradley Cooper, I don't know.
Perfect.
At the time, it could have worked.
He was very hot.
Yeah. At the time, I could see it happening. He also does, if they had kind of stuck with it being a sequel and less of a reboot, could have fit that kind of crazy Crow persona a little better.
And it was going to be set in like a Blade Runner type of world. That was the world they were at.
That would have been cool.
Fucking cool.
That would have been cool. But hey, we don't do new and cool ideas here.
No.
That's not our goal here.
Not with the Crow.
Yeah.
New, maybe. Cool?
And then it was Stephen Norrington who did Blade and Extraordinary League of Gentlemen. And get this, Mark Wahlberg.
I would have loved that. Can I pitch? I've decided I want to make a Crow movie, and Mark Wahlberg would be perfect for that. The premise of the movie is Mark Wahlberg dies and comes back with Crow powers, and the vengeance he's bringing is he's killing all of the cast from Wicked Prayer.
Yes.
And he's just going and killing all the different people that were
With
in
his
it.
It's
Boston
a fucking
accent.
Wicked Prayer.
Yeah, in Bourne Ultimatum style.
And every time he kills someone, he goes, your mother, that's who.
Yeah, that's the movie. That's the movie that should have been made. Maybe next year.
And this one threw me because I always get excited when I hear his name, but this didn't. Ryan Gosling. I love Ryan Gosling, but
Again, I could, having seen him actually act, I think there is merit to that. I don't think he would have fit the persona as well, but I could see him actually putting in a good
I think
performance.
they would have. I mean, he would have done fine, and he would have definitely had name recognition. But I wish I liked Ryan Gosling as much as everyone.
Yeah.
You've seen Drive.
Yeah, I mean, like he's fine.
top 50 for me.
He's fine.
Drive's the
Like,
one that convinced me he could act.
he can act, but I don't understand the hysteria around.
A place beyond the pines too.
I've heard good things.
So
I need
good.
to see that one.
Again, though, Bill Skarsgård's not my issue with this film.
No.
I mean he does what he can. Just
Did
like
the best job he could
yeah.
with with the directions he was given.
Channing Tatum and James McAvoy. Alex Skarsgård also got really close. This actually was the closest one. Actually, the second closest. They actually scouted locations for that one. It was going to be F. Javier Gutierrez, who directed the Rings. I guess is that the sequel to Ring? the Ring?
I guess.
I didn't know there was a sequel.
I guess they are only looking
Very
at
fitting name.
sequel horror film directors here. But the one that almost got there, and this is the one I remember reading about, this is the one that got publicized the most, Jason Momoa. And it got to the point where Screen Rant and all the major publications even had retrofitted the crow paint onto Jason Momoa's face and published it. Like, there were actually articles. So
they probably also used the Ozzy Osbourne video he did. Yeah, he looked very crow-like in that.
Yeah, that could have been
interesting.
He couldn't do it. He was doing Fast X. Yeah, he had to beg.
Yeah, all interesting ideas, but we don't do interesting ideas at the Crow sequel factory here.
No, sir.
Make sure you take your 15-minute break. We don't want your hand to get caught in the machinery here. This is interesting. You know, it's early on. We talked a lot about how, and I guess both of these are true. But you know, what's his face? Iggy Pop was a huge inspiration for the bodies and how like the musculature of the comic. But he actually told Rupert Sanders, the director of this one, that Trent Reznor from Nine Inch Nails was his idol, and so a lot of his look was actually modeled. And they tried to translate like early Trent Reznor onto Bill Skarsgard to kind of appeal to that Trent Reznor look.
Interesting.
But I'm a diehard Nine Inch Nails fan, but I didn't pick up on it.
Yeah.
No.
I don't know. Yeah, that's one of those things. If you hadn't said it, it's not something I would have noticed.
Is it because your head is like a hole? Sorry, is that how? No, he said head like a hole. I was like head like a hole. Yeah, I'm a diehard Nine Inch Nails fan, but yeah, I wouldn't have picked up on it. Some of the clothes actually belong to the designers, and they were actually vintage '80s clothes. And then they made copies of them, but they actually were goth folks themselves, and so that's why they picked. I can't remember their names. They're legendary designers, but the costume designers. But they were actually, some of the trench coats and things they were using were from their personal collection from the '80s.
It's cool. I mean, I liked when he went crow and got the look and like suited up, crowed up, crew up.
Crow up.
Honestly, I was so disinterested by that point. I barely remember what he looked like.
Yeah. And this is another one where my age is showing. Lil Peep was the model for Eric's image and the tattoos and everything. And also it was like they described it as Lil Peep mixed with Sid and Nancy. Again, is Lil Peep hanging out with FKA Twigs? I don't know these people. Who is Lil Peep?
I honestly think so. Probably. That would actually make sense.
Who is Lil Peep?
I have no idea.
He's a mumble rapper.
Are we old?
Oh,
yeah.
Yes.
Okay, we're getting old here.
Yes.
Harry! Love you. This cat is awesome. I love you.
That look is so judgy right now. Like, are you guys still here doing this?
You're actually making me want to get a cat. I love your whole energy, dude.
Cats are great.
Yeah, I've got 2 retrievers.
Same energy.
They would probably chill with the cat. Let's be real.
You're awesome. And then lastly, this actually was really cool, and it has nothing to do with the movie itself. Skarsgård, when he finds out he's playing a new character, he will find a song or a playlist to help him prepare. And the song that he used to prepare for Eric Draven was Mary Wagner, and it was a song called Death, and it's a Finnish folk song. So,
I would have guessed that completely.
Is that the same one that they used at the beginning of Until Dawn?
Oh, man, I don't know. Maybe? I haven't seen that in a long time.
Y'all keep talking. I'm going to do a little bit of digging here.
Shall we remake? Shall we reboot?
Oh, boy.
Shall we get mullets?
Let's do it.
Let's do it.
No.
Shall we get eyebrow tattoos?
Yes, 100%.
All right, let's war. This is going to be interesting. I'm really interested. This could be our most divisive, not between us, but just the card, like, because it's just hard to analyze this. But let's go top bill cast. Let's go Bill Skarsgård, and we'll go. Let me see if FKA Twigs, my new friend, and FKA Twigs.
I think she was the second in the credits.
Yeah, and then Danny Houston.
Which before we even get into those, I've got to say, I'm sick and tired of opening credits in modern movies.
Yeah. Like,
the opening credit sequence, if it's not furthering the plot of the story, just fucking cut it out, y'all.
Yeah.
Just get straight to the story. I do not, as much as I do care about the lovely people who worked on this movie, all the ones who are in opening credits are just heads of departments. None of them are the people who are actually, like, in the trenches day by day doing the shit work. That's what the end credits are for. Stop with the opening credits. Show me the title. Get straight to the movie. I'm fucking done with waiting 45 minutes for you to just get to the stupid inciting.
I gave you my money already.
Yes. Show me the movie.
Or like do it in a creative way. Sometimes they as they're showing you the credits and doing the cool little thingamajiggers, they're showing you the beginning part of the movie. They're like it's a ramp getting into the movies.
Again, like I said, if it's gonna further the story, do it. But if it's just a stupid little artistic sequence, I'm sorry, I don't care. I almost skipped it when I watched it because I was so bored. Please stop.
If you guys do want to see the best opening credit scene, Fast and Furious 6, hands down.
Okay.
Watch it, and it literally tells you the first 5 movies.
Yeah.
In the opening credits.
If anyone else said that to me, I would call bullshit. But because you're saying it, that's definitely the truth.
It's literally
no other truth has been spoken. Besides that.
And when you're 6 movies in and you can somehow make a previously on Fast and Furious with your opening credits, you got my respect.
We need to do like a side episode, but I agree. That's one of 3 things I think modern filmmaking struggles with. That connective pieces, and the example is this idea of him running and getting a gun, like the way they try to connect things. They do it in the weirdest way, whereas like really great filmmakers like make that stuff explicit without trying. And then the last part is how they include technology with cell phones and things. The way they lean on those 3 things to me really stifle modern filmmaking.
Yeah, I agree completely.
That could be like an hour-long side pod, but
100%. But as far as the leads of this film, I think that they did the best job with what they were given. I don't think the script is that strong, but I think all of them put in the work. I think they all did what they were supposed to do.
I think I'll agree with that. The plot and what they said did not captivate me one bit, but I felt like, hey, you guys are doing a good job of doing this.
Yeah, never once did I feel like it was shitty acting from anybody.
Yeah, so I'll say as the crow flies.
Yeah, crow flies on that one.
Yeah.
Yeah, I actually go the same. It's really hard because we're doing a franchise. It's like, do I compare this to all of film, or do I live in this crow world this crow's nest that we've built?
Love it.
I think this one's worthy of both. I think it's worthy of comparing it to the originals, but also because it is a modern mid-budget film, I think it's also worth comparing to the rest of it. And again, I think they did their job.
Yeah, if I'm looking at it from the crow's nest only, I think I can't shit so hard on the middle 3 and then come here and shit on this one too. I think we got, and listen, I don't love what FKA Twigs does here, but I think for what they were asking her to do in this defeated, drug addicted, this kind of broken spirit, she really does deliver that.
Absolutely.
I actually was impressed. I didn't know what to expect coming in. So when you look at it from that way, I give it a crow flies. And honestly, I'm just constantly impressed with Bill Skarsgård. This guy keeps taking on beloved roles. I mean, I thought he was crazy for taking on Tim Curry's It. I mean, to be Pennywise, I mean, even though that was straight to TV, I don't know. You probably feel the same because I've talked about
I haven't actually seen the original.
Oh, you haven't?
No.
It's one of those, like, you don't touch that.
Yeah.
That's how people feel about Tim Curry. But I think he does
a great job.
He does a great job. And the acting is not. And then Danny Houston. I mean, he's in supporting. We'll do that in a minute. But I mean, there are good performances. I can't really say there was a bad performance here.
No.
Yeah.
No one stood out to me as poorly acting their character.
Yeah.
So.
Correct.
Good to know we all agree on that.
Yeah.
Look at us. Remember last movie, and we were about to get in fights on the couches, and now we're.
Well, no one quite got to the heights of Edward Furlong here, but let's just. But I mean, that's
They're doing
unfair.
their best.
It's unfair to thrust that expectation upon anybody. Oh my God! Why did they cast him? I'm still angry.
I thought you were gonna say, why did they make that movie, which would have been just as valid.
That's
of a
another
question.
Yeah. I don't know what's the bigger sin. I guess you got to have a wicked prayer to figure that out.
Nice.
God, I love wordplay. All right, supporting cast here. Danny Houston is Vincent Rogue. I love how Rogue is spelled weird.
Yeah, R-O-E-G.
Satan's one-time transactional partner here.
Yeah.
I give you eternal life in exchange for this, but I never talk to you again.
Fine, you're so annoying. I give you eternal life and leave me the fuck alone.
He was like a temp at Satan's industry.
Yeah, Robert Half's.
Interim Satan.
Yeah.
He was like, we just, it's seasonal work. We just, racking up. We could use an extra guy to take some souls.
Then we got Josette Simon as Sophia, the mother here, which was
she did all right. I forgot about her.
Kind of an interesting, weird character. Marion by Laura Byrne, who was kind of like a great Bond-ish. I got like James Bond, femme fatale.
Yeah,
yeah, I like that. Sammy Bualia as Kronos, but you never know his name is Kronos in the movie.
What a cool name.
He's the guy in the in-between layer.
Oh, yeah, that makes sense. It's a good name for him.
You never know that's... And then Roman is Carol Dobry. Jordan Bolger is Chance, and then it gets worse from there. All right, what do we think? Supporting cast.
I'll give them As the Crow Flies. I feel like they all did fine. Again, like the movie itself bored me, but I don't think it was the actor's fault.
Mm-hmm.
I am very split on this because I don't think anyone necessarily did a bad job.
Right.
Other than the lead villain, I don't think anyone really did a good job.
You didn't think he was good at being whatever he was. Like, I mean, I'm not gonna say the character was a little lame, but like I feel like he was.
I mean, no. I think he did a good job.
Oh, okay.
I don't think anyone else did either a good or bad job. They were just kind of bodies in a movie. So it's like, I want to give it a Crow Flies just because I'm so happy to not be watching Wicked Prayer.
Yeah.
But honestly, I'm probably gonna go away from the pack on this one. I'm gonna go Eat Crow because none of them were memorable in any way, shape, or form for me.
Fair enough.
Yeah, I was very split too. I did go Eats Crow as well. And
oh shit.
Yeah, I did. And here's the thing: I love Danny Houston. He kind of plays the same type of villain, and I like him because when you hear the special features and interviews with him, he sounds exactly like he does in the movie. He talks,
is that villain.
He talks like a villain. Like, I can't imagine serving that guy a burger at like Dairy Queen. It's like, oh my god. But if we're gonna stay in the crow's nest, I'm gonna stick with this thing. If we're gonna stay in the crow's nest, the nature of the first ones, like, they did such a great job developing those villains, like, and they each had an interesting persona. Here, you said they're just bodies, and like, Danny Houston's
he was the only villain. It felt like. I mean, there's the lady, but like,
and a bunch of henchmen.
Yeah.
But even him, he was still one note.
Yeah.
And I always think back to Patrick Kelly's performance as T-Bird. Like, he went from being this really like kind of like horrible demonic dude to when his eyes were taped open and he was fixing to die, he showed this insane amount of like remorse and dread, and like that moment told me he regretted everything he did and he knew he was about to die. No one really gave that to me. No one. And one of my favorite things about movies is when someone in that supporting cast delivers a performance you don't expect. Yeah. No one does that here.
I felt like that about when the mom died. Like, it kind of snuck up on you in her death, and you're like, oh, well, dang. But you weren't so connected to her character that you're like, oh no, that was.
I didn't realize she died.
Yeah.
For context, ladies and gentlemen, I watched this movie 3 hours ago.
Yeah.
This is how little I remember about this movie from having finished it just before you guys.
It's because I'm pretty sure that was a CGI death.
Yeah.
That was not a dummy. That was a CGI body.
she wasn't even there. She doesn't even know her character. Yeah. She didn't finish the script. She just doesn't even know her character dies in the movie. But and I liked Vincent as a villain because you could tell he, like, at the beginning when he was killing that first girl off, he was like, I mean, I don't really want to do this, but I got to do it because because it's like he wasn't so like diabolically evil like honestly, a lot of these other villains have just been evil for the sake of being evil. Yeah. Like, his end game was, I want to live forever, and this is how I do it. Yeah. So you seem like a nice girl, but also that's why. Like, when he was like, I wish I could go kill the rapers and stuff like that. He's like, but that's not the people he needs. Yeah. So like, I don't know. I believed his villainess. Sorry, I'd already given my opinion. You're sharing yours.
No, it's good. No, I was actually prepping to talk about our next category. No, this is interesting. We're split.
Yeah,
and I feel that way about a lot of these kids. Yeah, we won. Yeah, take that, Fast and Furious guy. No,
Drew Davis.
No, and I feel that way about a lot of these categories. I feel very split on a lot of them, especially because we're in the crow's nest.
It's definitely the second best Crow movie.
Yeah, it'll be interesting. We're gonna go through our stack ranks at the end. That's how we're gonna close this out.
Debatable.
And what we say is a stack rank. That's gonna resonate through history.
Yeah.
So
it's everyone's gonna care.
I saw it. I knew that I was foreshadowing this, and so I've already thought long and hard about my crows. The perch. Which ones are higher on the perch?
Poetic killings.
That actually...
There's a lot of killings.
There's a lot of killings. I hated their death. I hated the main death.
Yeah.
I thought the suffocation was stupid as fuck. I thought it was just boring and lame to watch.
I thought and then the main villain's death was... There wasn't much of a fight, and it was, I don't know. Like, so I'm going to go with Eats Crow.
Okay.
Eat Crow.
Because... no one had a cool death. I mean, the John Wick style violence scene was pretty cool to watch overall. But like when poetic killings, I don't care about the henchmen. They were barely alive. You know, like, so when I think poetic killings, I just think of the main ones. And the best one was when he snuck up the killing her mom on us. Other than that, which apparently wasn't that great. Seth had no idea.
Nope.
So I actually agree, eats crow, but I actually did not like. Or when I say don't like I actually was made really uneasy by the vegetable bag over the head.
I thought it was lame as hell.
Really, I was really queasy.
It
affected me.
See, I have, again, it's one of those things. I've seen that shit done, and I've seen it be terrifying as hell.
Did they do that in Natural Born Killers? I'm trying to think. There's a really prolific bag suffocation.
Possibly, honestly, even the one in The Sopranos when AJ tries to kill himself and he puts the bag over his head and jumps in the pool. That one stressed me out way more than this.
That's true.
And it literally, it was because I could tell how loose the bag actually was. It did not, and again, it's like I understand we've tried to making movies safer, especially when you're dealing with The Crow and literally the very first one, the lead actor dies because of stupid negligence. However, there are ways to do this that make it look real and make it look terrifying. This, I could tell the bag was super loose, other than it was right over their mouth, and but it was just them sucking it. It didn't look real. It didn't look good. I'm sorry. I think that was one of the weakest parts of the whole movie.
I think I just didn't care enough about the characters at that point.
Which is stupid because you were 45 minutes into the movie.
To be moved by the death. I think that's one of the characteristics of a good death for me is if I care enough about the character.
And even the first movie, you didn't know who the characters were, and then when they died, you were like, "Holy shit, this is insane!"
Right? Yeah.
This one, like I said, you're almost halfway through the movie, and you don't give a fuck.
Yeah, I go eats crow too, and even though that one scene made me queasy, the fact is that the tone set by the first one is that the way the revenge is exacted, it reflects the crimes that were perpetrated, and
even City of Angels followed through with that idea.
Yeah, and this was just John Wick light. This was discount store John Wick. I mean, John Wick in its lowest moments does this better.
So much better.
Yeah, and the blood was so CGI. Yeah, it was so. A lot of people liked the one where he splits his mouth open.
Yeah,
I thought that looked stupid and fake.
Yeah,
well, I mean. Consider the alternative. I'm sorry they didn't have something like, you know what, you could cut my mouth up. But like that.
Friday the 13th, man, like every Friday, that's all practical effects. I mean, there are people out there that could, what's his face from Friday the 13th, the legend makeup artist.
Oh, is that Harryhausen?
No, God, how could I forget his name? I'll look it up. But we did I did with Matthew Blevins. But I mean, there are practical effects, but they're not going to spend money on it.
So. Specifically to that death, the two movies we have on our list for after this, which I'm not going to spoil because I want you to be surprised by the two that we've picked for the next two movies. One of them has a death like that done 1,000,000 times better.
Okay,
it's good to know.
Yeah.
I think that we in a few times in these movies we've seen like ridiculous CGI or fakeness, but of all the series, the one that stands out to me as the dumbest looking one was. In Crow's Salvation, when like he was being healed and the blood was like, and it looked like someone just took like clay and was pushing it out of his arm,
and the blood looked like sriracha.
Right? Yeah. I was like, I could go for a taco right now.
They couldn't even go with ketchup. They went full sriracha.
It's the only fake blood we have sriracha out here.
Right.
It's burning my skin.
Yeah, that had to have been the worst blood scene.
Yeah. This is going to be an interesting one. It's 2-1, by the way. Eats crow. The Mask. The whole everything, the dress, the apparel.
I'll give it a crow's flies on that one. I thought he looked the part, and I liked when he got the trench coat. Even before that, when he was like suited up, that was pretty good.
It was very unmemorable for me. While I remember the scene when he finally went full crow, just didn't care.
Yeah,
legit didn't care. So it's gonna be eat crow for me.
Okay, I actually did go crow flies on this one. It's. Again, looking at all of them together, they did do something very different here.
Yeah.
You know, in even Salvation, like they changed how the lines and how I got it. Here, they do something a little different here. And I do like it. It's interesting. I do like that it occurs and he's mimicking the bleeding eyes that he has when he becomes the crow.
Yeah.
I thought it was at least an interesting step. And I like the way it looks. I just think, I'm straight as an arrow here, but I just think Bill Skarsgard's a great looking guy.
Yeah,
fair enough.
I sound like Trump there. Great looking guy.
Yeah,
and I like how he looks. I know it's weird. I'm not a zoomer, but the mole at the face. I hated it at first, but eventually I kind of grew to like the Post Malone tattoos, and
I feel that
like
actually, the way that Salvation did it better.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay. Interesting.
Yeah.
I think it's weird that he's in the afterlife, and when he's getting his crow powers, Kronos, who we know is his name now,
Which is so funny.
giving them the look, and then he comes back up, and he's got all of his powers, he's got his purpose, he's ready to go kill and kick butt, but beforehand he's like, I need to paint my face.
Yeah. Yeah, you gotta.
It would have made more sense to me if he came up and he already had all the paint, because that just seems like a weird detour.
Yeah.
I'm gonna go to my roommate, give him his gun back, and then paint my face.
Yeah.
Like, it just seems like an odd.
And they make you think it's gonna allude back to the mask tattoo he has. You know, that he has the drama mask, but it doesn't look anything like that. But every time you see it, I think it's gonna be a callback. But they didn't do that. So we're split 2-2.
Yeah.
Very divisive film.
Oh my goodness.
Oh, by the bird of a feather. How good are these bad guys, huh?
Again, the main villain, good, very generic, but still did his job well.
Mm-hmm.
Don't really remember anyone else.
Was
The
there
girl
really
was
any
okay.
other villains?
The girl.
Yeah,
Marion.
but she was like she was like the number 2.
Yeah.
I feel like in this movie, we really should only bad guys. It's really just bad guy. And if we're going by that logic, I'm going to give it As the Crow Flies, because he was fine. He was fine for this movie.
I disagree with you fundamentally, because in the scene,
I get that a lot. You're not wrong.
in the
Probably.
scene, in the death scene, there were like 4 or 5 of them there, including the girl. I think in every single movie, that group has always been considered to be the bad guys.
Yeah, there has been always has been kind of like a video game style, killing one bad guy after another bad guy after another bad guy, which they didn't really do. Kind of did in this movie, but you're right. Like,
that's where I'm saying, I have to say Eat Crow, because they tried, but not hard enough.
You know what? Because the question was, how good are these bad guys with an S in plural? I'm going to change my answer. I'm going to change it to freaking kill the crow. Eat crow.
Eat the crow.
Eat it,
I love it. Second conversion on Movie Wars 2.0. I love it. Yeah, I go Eats Crow too, man. And here's what I'll say. Danny Houston's a bright spot in this film.
Yeah.
But he's a generic. You said generic. He's a generic villain played very well.
Yeah.
But.
And this is where, if we were going to rank it, I would rank it like a 6 out of 10. I don't think it sucks. I just don't think it's that great either. Yeah.
They try to give us something different with the Satan influence and the fact that he's like a henchman of the devil because of a deal he made. But, you know, he plays him very well. But again, it's like, it's not nearly as interesting as the villains in one.
No,
and it's
not
just
at all.
that, and that's one of the problems with the rest of the films from City of Angels onward, is they never quite captured the unique grown from the ground aspect of those villains. And
personally, I think Salvation did it the closest, just attacking a different type of enemy, being corrupt cops. But I still don't think any of them have lived up to the first one.
Yeah, it remains tight here, 3-2. Yeah. Eating some crow, but some crows are flying. We'll see what happens here. We're setting Movie Wars history here. All right, the Shitty City Award. This one's interesting. This one's been the most up and down throughout the entire franchise.
You go first.
It almost, dare I say, as far as crow mythology, the city was less good than even the last one. At least the last one was a shitty desert.
Yeah.
This one just like, I felt like it could have been taken at Nashville, like on a regular,
it's like a really nice city.
Yeah, it was fine. Like
tunnels and stuff.
It was cool. And it wasn't even like like we talked about in one of the earlier movies. Like, it would be cool if the city looked nice, but there was a lot of like darkness on the inside, so it still was like a shitty city. Yeah. But this one was just like, where were they? Cleveland? I don't know. Like, it was just like,
yeah.
So, give your verdict. Eat Crow?
Eat Crow. Yes, thank you.
I think I'm about to diverge again, because
God damn
it. Again, this would be like a 5.5 out of 10. I'm not saying they did a stellar job. However, I do feel like not only did the city itself match the tone of the movie, but I also feel like the individual locations, the rehab / prison / whatever the fuck it was supposed to be, it felt the way it should. It felt confining. It felt depressing. None of it felt great. I feel like they did a decent job of giving that a little bit of character there. His apartment, I felt like, had a lot of cool character to it. I liked all. Now, granted, as much as I hated the suffocation, I did like the fact that all the mannequins were covered in plastic to kind of foreshadow that's how they were going to die.
That was cool.
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't even pick
That
up on
was
this.
cool.
Yeah. So literally, as they're walking through that hallway, there's like 100 mannequins, all with a plastic bag over them.
Yeah.
So it kind of foreshadowed that. I thought that was interesting. I thought the way that his apartment was set up, being in this kind of industrial space, definitely gave me drug addict, like in a place where he was just able to find a place to stash a bed. I felt like that was cool. I felt like the apartment that they went to when they first got out of rehab, that was her friend's apartment. It makes sense with knowing what her background is, why she would know someone with that much money.
Right.
The opera house I thought was a cool setting. I am going to actually say crow flies on this because I felt like for what they were trying to do with the movie, the settings fit what they were doing.
Yeah,
I don't think they were fantastic. I don't think they were anywhere as unique as the first film. But I do feel like they fit what the movie was trying to do.
I'm not going to change my mind, but that is a good point. And it was always, the weather was always depressing and gloomy. And also, I think what helped this movie more than the setting was the soundtrack. Like, it was just a gloomy soundtrack.
Joy Division.
I hated the soundtrack.
I didn't enjoy it. Like, I mean, the first one had some, like, good songs in it. But, like, the songs in this one made it more... the movie just... It felt like I was talking to a depressed, angsty Gen Xer or Gen Zer.
Yeah.
So yeah, like and the music and the tone kind of set that.
Well, I agree with that. I felt like each time a new song played, it pulled me out of what they were trying to do. But that's a me thing. I fully admit that that's a me thing.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm gonna give it crow flies on this.
You actually converted me.
Oh, really?
I was gonna go, but I actually agree with you. You actually, because I was really. Here's the thing. I do this too. I got really myopic and fixated on the fact that we open up in this rehab facility. You guys, lovey-doveys over here. A couple of a couple of crows banging wings together. I
don't cut that out.
I love it. Focus. What the fuck was I saying before you guys started rubbing each other's arms on the emerald-colored couch?
No, there's room for one more in case. Anyway,
and then Harry ran away.
The cat's not here.
The cat's done with that.
Yeah.
The
setting.
I was really fixated on the rehab because the rehab had this industrial look. Like it's, the fact that this is where we're going to try to help people become sober, but it looks like a prison. I was prepared for an external world that matched that.
Yeah.
But then we kind of went out to just a very modern, and compared to the last one, very well lit, and I didn't like that it didn't match the tone because I kind of thought, we're in a world where everyone's addicted to drugs. That's what they're trying to tell us. But no, it wasn't really that. I was fixated on that. But you're right. Like it's very well lit. And even though it's a trope to do the opera killings, I did love the counter of his blood-stained body going up each flight of stairs in this beautiful opera house. Yeah. And it was all filmed in the Czech Republic, so that was a historic. That was a historic opera house. And I did like that counter, and I love kind of like counter intuition, like juxtaposition, where he's bloody and stained and death rampage, and we're in this beautiful historic opera house. Yeah. I do love that, so I actually did change my answer. Especially if I'm going to complain about what Wicked Prayer did, where they had no thought. At least these are well staged, well lit, and it's a good looking place.
I feel like I still want to disagree.
Feel free.
Last week when we did Wicked Prayer, the argument was, man, if they had just made it darker looking, and if they just made it more like use the same color schemes as the earlier movies. And what I'm hearing is like, never mind.
So that's not what I said, actually. What I said was, I feel like they could have leaned into the noir aspect of the Crow situation in a interesting way had they actually thought through the lighting of Wicked Prayer. Because like I said, they're in the desert. So there's not really going to be any diffusion of light. So you're going to have very harsh shadows, which is very indicative of noir. You could have easily made a desert noir kind of situation out of that movie, and they didn't. They just chose to make sure everyone was visible, but there's no nuance, no creativity to the lighting.
Could they not have done that for this movie?
I feel like they did, personally. I feel like going through like this was almost a neon noir kind of situation. Not quite to the point that like Blade Runner 49 would have been, but this had aspects, especially with his apartment and the very nice apartment where they're in and the opera house. It had elements of noir. It had elements of neon noir that I feel like ended up working for the film's favor. Again, if I was going to rank this very specifically, I would only give it like a 5.5 out of 10. I don't think they did a stellar job at making it unique, but I think they did a good job at making it feel like its own city, its own character.
Okay.
If that makes sense.
You guys should touch each other's arm again.
After that response, I don't think I want to.
The tension's real weird.
I don't. That's one of those. I don't agree, but it's cool to have opinions.
I think your opinion is completely valid on it. I just see it a little bit differently as someone who has spent time behind the scenes, and I can see the thought, I can see the effort put into this one. Versus the other one literally just felt like someone who got out of film school that was like, we'll just make sure everyone's visible.
See, and I felt like this one, in so many ways, including the setting, it's like they forgot maybe fundamental aspects of The Crow.
I don't disagree with that.
If someone asked me to do a reboot of The Crow and I was a movie director, the first thing I would do would be watch the original.
Yeah.
And then and also look at what people are saying and really figure out what are the things that like Crow movies have to have. I would even look at the other ones and see like what are the similarities. And this one just felt like I guess the rebooting was like, we don't need any of that stuff. Let's just make a new movie and put The Crow on the intro credits.
But also remember what has been one of the biggest complaints for all of the biggest franchises recently. And when I'm talking about this, I'm talking about Zack Snyder's Superman trilogy. I'm talking about a few episodes of the last season of Game of Thrones. I'm even talking about the Batman is everything's too dark. Everything's hard to see. Yeah. Everyone's watching it on TVs that have terrible glare. So when they watch it at home, the actual nuance of how the movie was filmed doesn't show through. I feel like this did a better job.
I do. As much as I like the darkness in a lot of these movies and in like Tim Burton's Batman, a lot of the newer movies, it does I'm kind of like annoyed with it.
So I can see how if they're trying to make this for a Gen Z audience, they would have taken that kind of criticism in mind, and while still leaning a little bit into the noir aspect, weren't going to go overboard with the lighting.
They didn't want to trigger anyone.
Yeah.
We have a...
So sorry. As soon as that came out of my mouth, I was like, don't say that out loud. Well, you're halfway into it. Go ahead and finish the sentence.
We have a tie.
This is it. This is the second,
for the second time. Second tiebreaker.
No.
That's crazy. In one franchise, we got two tiebreakers. Yeah.
Damn.
Revenge served awesome. And then we're going to get into our stack ranks.
Cool. Revenge served awesome.
I'm going to have to give it Eat Crow.
Yeah.
I don't think there was anything very unique about this. I think the fact that our lead barely had any interaction with the actual villain. Because, with the first movie, our lead never interacted with the final villain until he found out he was the leader of this pack.
Mm-hmm.
That, to me, is different. He had a tiny bit of interaction at the moment when he died, but the only reason he's even coming back is because, for some reason, she was intertwined with who he was. I don't think it did it a service. I think it was done poorly. I, again, watched this 3.5 hours ago, and I barely remember even the ending death. So I'm going to have to give it Eat Crow.
I'm going to give it an Eat Crow, too, because I don't know if revenge was his major motivation here. I mean, he was getting revenge, but the whole plot, it felt like, to this movie was, I want to save my girlfriend. And then towards the end, he's like, I want to replace where she's going. Like, I want to go where she's going so she can be saved.
Yeah.
So like everything he was doing, the motivation wasn't 100% revenge, which we've seen in the previous movies has been what those crows have been doing. But this crow, it was more about saving his girlfriend. It's more about saving versus avenging.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna go Eats Crows because also I didn't like the last death. Like I didn't it wasn't much of a fight scene. You know, where's my bad guy getting spiked to death? As we had in a few movies. Where's the aura? Where's the crow vortex to suck him up?
Yeah, no. It was weird. They totally take you out of the movie when that happens with Danny Houston's character. I also go Eats Crow, man. I just never bought enough into the love story for him to swap with her place in hell. I just didn't see that type of relationship. And what's funny, if that would have been the case in 1994's The Crow, I would have bought it. Because they visually, without any dialogue in the visuals, expressed their love so well that I bought into it. But here, I just don't. I just don't. I just what are you giving me that tells me that Eric is that selfless and that the relationship is that pertinent that he's gonna swap with her place in hell? That's a big thing to say. That I'll go to hell instead. It's like, really? How long did you know her? You know, it's like
that was the other thing, is it wasn't clear how long they knew each other. It seemed like when they died, if I hadn't seen anything before that, I would assume that they'd been together for months, potentially years.
Right.
When watching the movie, it felt like days.
Yeah, I don't think it was properly seen, but or presented to us. But I think the impression was once they escaped and we were watching their love story, it was happening over time. So by the time that they did die, they were in a deeper relationship than they had just met a few days ago when they.
But comparing that to when they found the body of the other girl and when all this other stuff happened, it literally felt like a period of 72 hours.
Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, I cared so little about them and their love story that I didn't ask myself, how long has this been going on? It's it's been going on for too long in this movie. That's how long it's been going on.
Yeah, 40 minutes till we get some crow action up in here.
Yeah, no, an hour and 30 minutes. Let's not take away the awfulness of.
Yeah, there was a fake crow in there too. They faked us out.
Yeah, it was
Kronos.
Yeah,
a guy that we only know his name
Kronos.
because of IMDb.
Yeah,
4-3 eats crow, and that is our crow series.
Yeah.
I bit off more than I could chew. I was so excited to talk about 1994, forgetting where it goes from there.
Right.
But we're going to go through our stack ranks really quick. We got to wrap up, but let me just real quick, I'll remind everybody, The Crow was The Crow Flies, 1994. Then City of Angels was Eats Crow. Salvation was The Crow Flies, and then we gave a really big eat crow, a lot of crow being eaten with Wicked Prayer, and this one eked out. It was very close, but this one eked out as an eat crow.
Yeah.
What are your stack ranks? Go ahead.
So I'm ranking the movies based on telling whether I'm gonna fly the crow or eat the crow for each movie, right?
Well, no, it's just 1 through 10.
Okay, perfect, awesome. So, Crow, 1994, number 1.
Obviously, I think we can all agree with that.
Yeah, it would be weird if any one of us said anything other than that.
City of Angels.
Number 2, I'm gonna go Crow, Salvation.
Interesting.
This is the part where I'm gonna lose you guys. Number 3, I'm gonna go Crow, Wicked Prayer. I had more fun watching that movie than my last two. Number 4.
Not too late to get another co-host.
No, I love it. That's what you want.
That movie was so bad. I found it fun to watch, and I think that's important because going back to what I'm about movies, I'm there for the enjoyment. There's so much about. I don't care about things so much. I'm just chill vibes. That's all it is. Anyway, number 4, I'm gonna put this one. 2024 Crow. Took way too long to get good. It did get good, and at the end, I looked back and I was like, I'm glad I watched that, and I'm glad but if I had saw it on TV and I wasn't if I wasn't doing this podcast, I would have turned it off an hour in. So I'm glad I didn't. And then I always like to let people know with movie rankings, and then there's the line of and I'd wrap after the next ones happen after I'd prefer to sit in silence.
Yeah,
But those first 4, I'm glad I watched.
Yeah.
And then Shitty of Angels is at the bottom.
Yeah.
That is, I would rather watch a blank TV screen.
That's crazy.
Than watch that.
That's crazy, man. Yeah.
Damn.
I love it. Thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah. So obviously, OG number 1. That's great. I'm gonna give The Reboot number 2. I think quality wise, I think it did okay. Again, I was split on some things. Had we simply gone with the way I ranked it, I think it would have barely eked out a Crow Flies. So I have to give it number 2. Salvation number 3. While I felt like the actors all did their job, I felt like very few other people on that movie did their job. City of Angels being number 4, which again, the crew all did their job. The cast and the director just ate shit on that movie. And then I cannot, in any good conscience, rate Wicked Prayer above.
There's no list for it.
No.
Anywhere.
It literally it would be the top 4 blank TV screen, eat glass, Wicked Prayer.
I'm just saying, if you Googled worst movies ever made in history, there might be a chance that Wicked Prayer is on it.
Like it should be.
And
I would rather watch
high
The
up
Room.
there, and I don't know.
And Dennis Hopper's list of regret.
Yeah, I would rather watch The Room than watch Wicked Prayer.
Oh gosh, that says a lot.
Yeah.
So you and I actually have the same list. I actually made a game time decision for 2. I struggled for 2 and 3. I kind of wanted to go Salvation or 2024. I think after lots of great discussion, that's why I love this format. I did end up going 2024 for number 2. So I got 1994, and that's on my top 50. So no shit, brains. Or no, shit for brains. What am I saying? No shit for brains.
That was so angry to nobody. like who are you? Who are you yelling at?
And I messed it up. No shit. Oh God, I hate myself so much. I wish I was Edward Furlong. 1994. Let's get back on track, Kyle. 2024. Salvation, City of Angels, and again below the pile of eaten glass and stabbing myself in the eye with a welding machine.
I'd rather be shat on by a bear.
You'd rather be shat on than eaten by a bear. Somewhere down there in the third ring of hell is Wicked Prayer.
Love it.
Well, dudes, this has been a blast.
Absolutely.
And also, the audience has been so stoked to have you guys. Our first franchise we've ever tackled in Movie Wars history, and we're going to do more of them. Like he said, let us know what you want to tackle, movies you love. This was a blast.
Yeah,
so
absolutely.
we're going to do a couple of individual movies to cleanse our palate, to remind
and
us.
they're going to be decent movies at the very least. Some of them might actually be good.
Yeah, maybe good. Maybe you'll like some of them. But anyway, thank you so much. This has been a blast. I'm Kyle.
I'm Seth.
And I'm Drew.
Good to see you guys.
Have a good one.
Movie Wars.